of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No.
Must be the whole village is full.
Yeah.
Well, there's only some people waiting for me out here that's a living.
Now, at the moment, yes, I do. Okay, Gary, roll call, please.
Okay, roll call, Bud,
Present.
Laura,
Here.
Alan Robbins,
Present.
Tamitha,
Here.
Leslie,
Here.
Ken,
Here.
Alan Michelson. Here. Jim? Here. Matt? Here. Thank you.
Okay, you've had time to look at the minutes. If there's no questions or corrections, we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And are these the bills correct?
Actually, Mayor, before we get into the bills, I've got one piece of legislation that impacts the bills. This year, the Sheriff's Department has issued an agreement for the Sheriff Dispatch Service in the amount of $1,928.03. On February 28th, I sent that agreement to the mayor, to Mayor Darrell, Alan Robbins, and Alan Michelson. And I have assigned ordinance number 908-25 to this legislation that would approve the agreement and the payment for the dispatching fee. Are there any questions from council, comments on this? It is. We need Alan, and Alan, can you do the first reading, please?
First reading, ordinance number 90825, an ordinance approving the 2025 agreement for dispatching services with the Medina County Sheriff's Office.
We need a motion to waive the 3 readings.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to pass the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
What was that amount of?
$1,928.03.
Is that gonna be paid this month?
Yes, that was the last addition that I made to the bills for this month. We did add that $1,928.03, revised total, $7,296.23. Now, if we can have a motion to approve the bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, before we start tonight, it is March, so I have to mention Glenn English and St. Patrick's Day. Somehow I've misplaced my green shirt that he gave us all, so being ready, I have my shamrock shirt on instead, just to remind everybody that this is the only place in the United States, as far as I know, it hasn't changed, that makes St. Patrick's Day a legal holiday, and the way we celebrate it is we do absolutely nothing. But we could brag about it.
And we've been at time, man.
We should work on changing that. We should do something,
We
like
should.
turn the lake green or something.
Right.
I think we're Chicago.
There's.
We don't have any businesses to close. We can't stop mail delivery. There's nothing we can do really. And the Village Inn isn't in our village. So, I don't know.
Quietly, there is some movement that Polar Bear Day be a national holiday too, so be prepared for some movement.
Well, Leonard English went to the Lord Mayor of Dublin to get this one passed, and then he went to the Congress, or what do we have, Leslie, the congressional record, where it's in there?
Congressional record, yeah.
We're gonna
So,
be
yeah, it
doing
takes a little bit
August,
more
we're gonna
effort
stop
than
on
just
that.
thinking it's a good idea. And it is in the original Trivial Pursuit games, And the answer to that question in that game is Briarwood Beach. But when we merged, in 1998, we made it a holiday in Chippewa, but it actually started in Briarwood Beach.
Well, that's neat.
And that's why Mayor English made those shamrock signs, that his son was nice enough to give us one. Okay, enough of that. We do have Debbie Horning here from the ski team. She's gonna take a minute to talk to you about the ski team agreement. And
So I
here's
passed out
the
the ski team agreement. I apologize, some of you don't have the third page, just, if you ran out of the paper, so. But I'm just here tonight to just ask you if we can continue to use the beach as we have before, put our dock at the south end of the beach. We will maintain the beach, remove the winter debris, and we plan on doing that May 17th and put the dock in. We will get the ropes and the diving, well, we're gonna get the ropes, but I don't know if we're getting the diving platform.
I saw that.
Because it's way out in the middle of the lake.
The birds are enjoying it.
I know, so we'll get the ropes in.
Somebody will haul that in sooner or later.
And then we'll get the ski team platform in before Memorial Day weekend. And then for the summer, once again, we'll help out with any emergency repairs that are needed. Keeping the south end of the beach clean. We will do the membership dues as we've always done. And then the Porta-John will probably come in, I would say, around, probably cleanup day, the 17th, we'll probably get it in around May 17th. And then, let's see. I gave Joanne a copy of the liability insurance, and then we will close the beach after Labor Day. Usually we do the cleanup like the second weekend of September, right before Mom Fest. And then just make sure that, one thing that I was talking to Joanne about was there's no reason for the beach to be closed on Thursday evenings or Saturday mornings, as long as we can still just use our south end area. So I don't see, last year I saw the gates were closed, like when we would go down there on Thursday evening, and I thought people were crawling around it and stuff. So there's no reason for it to be closed, because we don't move any of the ropes, we don't move the platforms or anything on Saturdays or Thursdays, so.
Only during the holidays, just during the shows, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
all right, I'll pass that along.
Yeah, so it doesn't need to be closed. I know there were, like, I would see people like crawling around it, like trying to get in, and it's like, it's fine, it's just, because they don't interfere at all.
Yeah,
So you can keep it open.
it's the place to be.
What's that?
That's the place to be.
Yeah, especially when it's hot. Beach shed, parking boat ramp, it's all the same. Our Learn to Ski will be on Sunday, June 8th, from 8 to 12. And once again, the beach can be open that day as well. And then the last page basically just talks about installing our dock, barge, and the boat lifts, where we usually put them, that we will use a big twin rig boat as needed. And then the jump practice, if we'll bring a jump out here if we need to practice it. And then we do have our special use permit that we got signed for 2 years. It's all good with the parks. So hopefully this is everybody's approval. And the one thing that I did add also is that we will replace the ropes and swim platform after our shows. Are there any questions for me?
It looks good, I looked through it, so this
Who's
This-
on?
it is the same as the revised edition from last year.
This is the same thing, except just, the only thing I added, when Joanne and I spoke, was that we would replace let's see, under one, the permission, beach availability. I just added the beach can remain open, and then number 2, I replacing the ropes and swim platform will be on for the shows. So those are the only 2 differences, and the dates, so.
Okay, good.
And then I wanted to let you know too, that we did put Chippewa Lake on the map again. We were nominated and did get Small Team of the Year from the National Water Ski Show Association. So Chippewa Lake Summer House again.
Congratulations.
Good job.
I want you guys to remember they're the only competitive ski team in Ohio. And they do go around and they represent Chippewa Lake. And we've never had any blowback from anybody saying, oh, they acted like this, they did that. We've never had any trouble, never have any complaints. So you're a group to be very proud of.
Thank you.
You're very unique and family oriented and we're lucky to have you. We just take it for granted, but we know you're very talented.
One question on the certificate of insurance, who were Nottingham County Park District, Chippewa Lake, was there anybody else listed on that?
I gave you each your separate one, so there is, for here, no, it's just those two.
Okay.
And Julian has the copy.
Oh, Gary's got it, yeah.
Is that what you need anything else besides that?
No, that's all we need, Gary, isn't it?
Yes, that's all we.
No, we're good. Thank you.
So I gave Medina County Parks theirs.
Okay, certificate, okay, got it. Looks good. Congratulations,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Okay.
We
cool.
need the motion then, or?
Oh, yeah, I guess we should.
Motion to approve. The request.
Make a motion that we approve the CHIP ski team
Agreement.
agreement with Village.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to safety. Thank you guys over there for being patient.
Thank you. Apologize, my computer's not doing well, so we did print these out for us. In February, we had 81 hours worked, targeting 80, so we're right in the green zone for that. 550 more miles logged, 22.3 gallons anticipated. Hardly at 31, Yarborough 25, Line 25 for the total of 80 hours. We did have some unusual activity on the activities report. The first one was a deceased person. That was the first time in the 12 or 15 years I've been doing that we had that. And Deputy Hargay will kind of give us an update on the background on that, and it's not severe at all.
That's a natural cause, elderly female. I mean, I can read this as a paragraph long, deceased female in her house. I can either leave this for people to read or I can read it. Nothing suspicious, anything like that. It was on 159 Brookshore Drive.
What was her name?
Gloria Burke.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gloria Snyder.
I think husband and children might have been present or there when the deputies were.
Yeah.
So, natural causes, first time I've had a deceased report on this particular report, so. Thank you, Jim. Yarborough was the response.
Yep. And Sergeant Taylor.
Okay. Reading on, mental 2, extra patrol 70, Victor watches 6, 9/11, hang up, abandoned calls 1, back pain 1, building checks 3, reading problems 2, citizens assist, standby directions 2, diabetic problem 1, fall victim 1, fire non-emergency service call 1, reposition of the vehicle 1, standby assist general escort 1, traumatic injuries 1, traffic stops 2, unwanted subject 1, water problems shutoffs 1, welfare checks 1, 100 activities for the month. Was there anything else on that report that we want to?
No, just this.
Anything from the audience or the council for?
I had a deputy drive by me while I was running the one day and told me I had to go faster. Never, ever in my life have I had a deputy tell me that I had to go faster. I've been pulled over several times for going too fast, but I felt like I was being harassed when he told me I needed to run faster.
Did you heed it?
Trying my best.
No debating it too.
Was that deputy present?
What's that?
Is that deputy present?
No.
It's funny.
Get his cruiser number and I'll report it.
They're used to chasing you down, right?
Yeah.
And the fire district report, we have Chief Kavanaugh here. Want to try and speak to the report?
Good evening. We had 48 calls in February. One was in Chatham, 2 in the city of Medina, 1 in Chippewa Township, 1 in Harrisville Township, 28 in Lafayette, 12 in Chippewa Lake, 2 in Glorylands, and 1 in Westview. 36 were during the daytime and 12 at night. It's a minute and 59 seconds to get out the door, and a year-to-date minute and 58 seconds, about 6 minutes to get on the scene. We're really good there. We received mutual aid twice. We gave mutual aid Medina twice. We gave mutual aid Seville once, Lodi once, Chatham once, and Westville once. So April is our pancake breakfast. Pancake breakfast season is upon us. April 6th, 13th, and 27th. Chatham's pancake breakfast will be Saturdays and Sundays in March. So all these weekends are Chatham's breakfast. And then I believe Valley City's breakfast was this past weekend. So. We received $4,567 from the State Fire Marshal's Training Reimbursement Grant. And we completed our March radio authentication and update. That's a mandatory update that's required by the middle of this year. Our Medic 1 is being serviced at general maintenance for rear brake seasoning, and our rear calipers have been replaced, and it's actually currently getting PM in Fallsway. We renewed our direct license, we serviced our hydraulic tools, and our air compressor and extractor washer. And we've begun training nights again with a focus on basic firefighting skills and EMS work. 7 of our firefighters are doing well in paramedic school. 2 will graduate in August and 5 will graduate in December. Lieutenant Bosch completed his fire instructor course and fire officer 1 and 2 course. And congratulations to Captain Ruha on his full-time appointment with Brunswick's Fire Department. He will continue to serve Lafayette as well. And we approved 2 new hires, Justin Rosenwald and Rob Haas, both very experienced firefighters. Justin is the chief of Highland Heights and an avid fire instructor, and Rob is a former chief and a lieutenant full-time with Shaker Heights Fire Department. He holds certifications in technical rescue, multiple disciplines, and will be a valuable resource. Both will be a valuable resource for our department. So that's all I have.
Question, what is the drug license that you?
So it's a pharmacy license. It's a 3-year cycle. It's all of our, we have narcotics and then our regular meds. And the state of Ohio has to issue a pharmacy license. And they're not that cheap either. $400 now.
Side question, are you a disposal area for people that have out-of-date meds?
No, the hospital could be, Mountville Township has a disposable site and the sheriff has a disposable site. So
The lobby, there's a break, there's a box.
Okay, thank you.
That's good to know, because I only thought Montville had one, my mom just asked me, so
yeah.
closer.
If you have some like sharps containers, those kind of things, those, like if you're a diabetic, you can put those in regular like bottles or like, that's very fine to just throw it, put it in a bottle and throw it in the trash. We don't take those either. Sometimes people bring trash bags of that. What happens with that is we would have to send that away on a, like, it's like a hazmat, and it's very expensive to get that hauled away, so we can't take that kind of stuff, unfortunately, so.
Was 2 things, Debbie, on the swim platform, which is on its own line. Cochran put an anchor on it, but obviously the ice flow moved it away. So I did talk to Chief Kavanaugh on it. No, if there's no other quick solution, we're gonna set up a fire safety rescue. Water rescue.
We're gonna take a look at it tomorrow and see where it's at, and then we'll get our boat in the water.
Oh, that's good, because I couldn't get any volunteers yesterday.
We'll take care, we'll get it figured out. Yep.
Eric Niger is typically, but at the end of the jump, that platform was actually frozen to the ice and we couldn't get it off. And weather didn't cooperate and Eric decided to have surgery, and so we're bringing it back around, so that's good. Separately on the fire siren, the new warning siren, it activated Friday or the first Saturday on that. The issue that we're having with it, and that evidently worked January, didn't work February. They checked that there was a loose wire on the siren, so I corrected that to make it work. What's not happening is there's a radio bounce back to to dispatch that validates that the siren activated. That is not bouncing back right now. So Vassar did that, they did an exact same siren at another location in Homerville, and it's working properly. So they went back to the manufacturer, Federal Equipment, or Communication, and they're checking the software. He expected to have answers by the end of the week. We identified it last week, so he's working on it, expects it to be correctly. So that's kind of the story on the side. So,
What is it?
that's all I have.
Okay, go to zoning.
Zoning report for March, just a couple of things, 77 Longacre, a notice for the issue for the illegal temporary structures. The court date has been scheduled for March 17th at 2:30 at the Medina Municipal Court. 200 Brookshore Drive, the warning notice for debris and rubbish in the front side yard, posted at the address and conversations with the daughter on 2 occasions. So they have up to, I guess they have 10 days left to get that straightened up. That's all that I had. Oh, no, I had one permit. It was a permit for a dumpster at 484 Shorefield Drive.
And then we need to take down a tree in the circle. And the quote that we got was $2,600 to $3,000.
You hear that, Gary?
Right, got it. It seems hot.
It's a big
It's a
tree.
very large tree.
Is it, I was contacted by a resident about a tree, Bungalow Bay 27, Bungalow, is that the one?
It's right across the street, yeah.
Okay.
So she contacted us and said that the tree was leaning towards their house.
She said it was hollowed out too.
It is, yeah. So we sent AJ up to take a look at it. He said it is in bad shape. He said, is it gonna fall today? Probably not. Maybe we could take it out in the fall. We decided that since the resident has a concern, if anything were to happen between now and the fall, we just can't take that risk.
Yeah,
So
no,
it is, he said it's very unhealthy.
And it is on
It's on the circle, yeah.
And we don't have any other, a lot of that's just bringing big rigging out to take the tree out. Is there any other projects that would?
Well, he's taking it out. There's stump grinding, hauling it all away. I don't know if there's anything else. We just use.
Nothing on, no other trees on the menu that could bundle it up?
I'm sure Jim Brandenburg could find one for us, but you don't have to be so anxious, Alan.
Well, no, it's cost efficiency when you get, have to
Right.
handle all that stuff out, come up
Right.
with one tree.
We can
And
ask
you
him.
pay for all that. If you can combine it, you can save some money.
We'll give you a list tonight.
Right.
We're going to have to look at that stuff.
But yeah, once they warn you, you need to
Right.
put action to it.
We walked by there tonight. It's definitely got a lean to it. Right at
Detroit,
their house, yes.
and nobody hit their house.
27.
That's it.
That's all I have.
That's all?
That's all.
Okay. Community relations, Tampa.
So I did attend the health department meeting last week, Monday. I have handouts that I'm gonna put over on the table. Nobody here can tell us to. Majority of the meeting did not pertain to us. They talked about the sanitary sewers, and they are aligning with the county on making people hook up, like when their septic tank is no longer active. They're not allowed to put in a new septic tank. If there's a sewer available, they have to hook up. But that doesn't pertain to us, because I don't think any of us here in the village have a septic tank. I could be wrong, but I don't think anybody does. The one thing that I did get out of the meeting was the storm sewer treatment, which we ask about every year for the mosquito prevention, which they of course are going to do again. I also, when I talked to Krista, I talked to her kind of on the side about it. She talked about getting in contact with me to maybe treat not just the storm sewers here, but maybe some of the other areas where we have standing water, such as Chippewa Road, where Keith always said the catch basin that was there was installed improperly, and so it just sits there instead of draining, that they could probably treat that too. She also disclosed with me that they get a grant for mosquito management, which I thought was very interesting. And I did reach out to Joanne, and I reached out to find out what we could do to get a grant for us for our mosquito spray, because we spend a ton of money every summer on the spray. We're past the application opportunity for a grant for this year, but maybe it's something that we can look into for next year for our own village.
Who gives the grant?
I have no idea. I have to look into it. I just know that those were closed, so we would have to apply for 2026.
Well,
and
the
there's
worst they
nothing we
could do
can
is say
for
no.
25.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's expensive.
It's always no if you don't ask the question. So we might as well apply and get denied, and maybe we'll actually get approved versus never doing it, just assuming we're not going to get approved.
There's a resident in Blue Glen who got a license and has the equipment to do spraying.
Okay.
So I don't have his name, I could get.
Alan gave me, passed along to somebody, is that Ellen?
We
Is
talked
it-
about it at the last meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't
We
here.
decided not to move forward with it.
Maybe
Lori
get a
Glenn's
quote.
just said-
No, wait a year and see how it goes.
Okay.
This is not the first time they've hired people to do stuff.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. We don't know if this guy's gonna stick or not.
We'll see how many mosquito
Over the
bites they
years,
get.
That's actually a good idea.
Just bring it up.
And,
News.
well, I don't know if it's everybody's opinion. My opinion is we've gotten good service from this guy. We know he's a good guy. He's got the right credentials. And unfortunately, over the years here and there, Glory Guns has tried to put their own different things in, and it doesn't seem to ever work. So there's no point in burning the bridge.
I agree. Yep.
So
Yeah,
let's see how it
he's
works out.
he's responsive, Dale. So anytime I contact him, he answers pretty quickly. You know, I'll be out tomorrow, the next day, whenever.
Yeah.
So I don't have any complaints except for the pricing, but hey, you know, the chemicals and your time, your material, everything costs, everything has gone up.
Only other thing I have is the Easter, actually I have more than that. Easter egg hunt is going to be on Saturday, April 12th. I don't have the exact time yet as far as the time of day it will take place. But I will be sharing that with Claire's List, and I will be sharing that on our Facebook page within the next week, I would assume. There's one more thing I was thinking about.
State issue too.
Yes. Two more things I was thinking about. State issue 2 is going to be on the ballot in April. Is that correct? May?
Like May 7th or whenever election day is.
And that is a funding that helps us get money for our streets and the grants and the things that we have accessibility to help out the village. So I would strongly encourage voting yes on that issue. And
What's the issue number?
issue 2.
Yeah, and encourage other people to vote yes on it too, because that, it was in the commissioner's newsletter, and they did mention the, most recent people that got them were in there, because that was our phase 9. So they have funded, it used to be state issue 1, but now I guess it's gonna be issue 2 in May, so hopefully it'll pass. I don't believe it raises the taxes, so that's encouraging.
On that same point, tonight we do have a piece of legislation for council to vote on supporting that measure by the state of Ohio. And we will forward, if this passes, we will forward it to the Ohio Municipal League. And they've got a group of communities that are going to address this with the state and get it published so that the entire state knows that this is out there. We really
Why don't you
need to
just do
pass it.
that?
Sure. Okay. Alan, did I give you a copy of 51625?
I have it ready.
Okay, so I'll do the first reading.
Yeah, this is a resolution just showing that the village supports this issue and supports this program. So it is resolution number 516-25, first reading by title, is a resolution in support of State Issue 2, renewal of the State Capital Improvement Program on the May 6, 2025 statewide ballot. So it is a resolution, so it needs a motion to waive the second and third reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to pass the resolution as an emergency.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
We've gotten a lot of money from that.
Yep.
We were on phase 9, but they funded
Yeah.
9 of them now.
The only other thing that I have to ask about again, because I've been hounding everybody since January, newsletter. Please submit your articles to me for the newsletter
What's
so
your,
I can get it put out.
what's your deadline? Like, what do you?
Yesterday.
Yeah, I would like it by April 10th, because I'd like to get this out before May this year. It's been mid-May when I've gotten it out, so April 10th is gonna be my deadline.
So Deb, can you have something from the ski team? And Lisa, would you like to put something in there about the website? In that newsletter? Just to remind people we have one?
I think it's a good idea because the people,
I mean, you could just put a paragraph in that we have one and what the URL.
Just something,
I
yeah,
might
because
have
I
that
think
in
people,
there already,
I think it's in there.
because I talk about our YouTube live stream in there as well.
Yeah. I'll go back and look at, last year's, it's on the website.
because this is the one thing that people get that don't have, Facebook or social media, so.
Correct. I know
Chances
a
they-
lot of us now do have it and they have access, but some people still refuse.
well, I know that, there should be a move, to try to get more people to be aware of it and go to it. Lisa said she doesn't think a lot of people go and use it, I
No,
agree.
because they go right on Facebook and they're like, hey, I think there's a water main break down on this road. Oh,
Every day.
So I wonder, as council people, if we should, when we see that, respond with our website URL. You can
Well,
find it
We
here.
don't have anything on there about water maker. Well, I guess we have how to contact the water people, but.
Right,
yeah, what would they do if we didn't have Facebook?
right. But I mean, if it is
Walking?
something that is village related, we could always respond with our URL. Somebody out there is always nice enough and kind enough to give them the answer.
Well, if I see something on there that I know is on the website, I will put a comment in. And I'll answer the question and I'll say it's on the website. But I've already answered their question, so they're not gonna go back and
Use
the next time they have a question, they're not going back to that.
Do something like, want the answer to this, go to Chippewa.com. Plus, you gotta make sure those people on Facebook actually live in this village.
Well, somebody said, I was on a walk, there, I think there's a water main break on Clover Cliff. I read it and I was like, well, did you call someone?
Give them the address, give me a specific location. Yeah.
The other day, I was driving down Chippewa Road, and I don't know, I should have asked the chief what the end result was, but there was a fire hydrant, and you could tell it was ice down the front of it, like water had been coming out of it, and it froze. So I called, the township and told them they were gonna go check it out. It had a leak or something, I mean,
They were working on it the other day,
yeah.
and I think they got it partly resolved, but there's still a service mark on it, so.
But I wouldn't have gone to Facebook and said, hey, there's a fire hydrant on Chippewa Road, looks like something's wrong with it, you,
Called
right.
the water and sewer are very responsive.
They are so, especially if there's a problem.
Tell them where they go.
Okay,
That is all I have.
okay, well then we'll go to Barb, building and utility.
Not a whole lot going on. I will, now that the weather is getting a little bit nicer, I'll get the Christmas lights down off the building. Just some maintenance things that I'd like to get done, around the building and stuff. Some door jamb needs painted again, so I'm gonna try to get a different kind of paint for that. I'll have to talk to a resident about getting some help with getting the carriage lights and getting those installed. So see what the availability is there. Take the fire extinguishers in and get them serviced for the year. So, now Gary, we did that last year and they overcharged us, so we should have a credit with them, if I understand, if I recall correctly, from our conversation a year ago. I think they charged me tax because they were too lazy to check the tax exempt status, so.
Right, when are you planning to take those in? I'll call them in advance.
Probably on a rainy day
Okay.
when I can't do anything else.
All right, and you take that to, is that ABC?
I take that, yeah, ABC, Cintas, yeah, well, it's Cintas now, but,
Oh, it's in.
well, I think Cintas bought ABC. It's right up on Wilton Road. So,
I'll call them to make sure that they have that tax exempt certificate
okay.
and ask for the credit from last year.
So that's it. I think. The clock is something, isn't it? The aesthetics of this building are overwhelming now. Just Walmart special. Home Depot didn't have any.
From our back too, just so you know.
And a girl.
I forgot about it until today. So
I was reading the minutes today, I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if Barb got a new clock.
I forgot it until
Good job.
it's working great.
Okay, now we will go to parks.
Well, first off, I sent an email around about our ramp committee manager, Amber Delacus. She's been doing a great job for us. We talked about making it a salary position a while back. Nothing came out of it, but that's something I wanted to put in place. I mean, she does a lot of work. And for example, I sent it out late, so I'm sure all of you, or maybe none of you, looked at it yet. But you're looking at, I mean, she put in, how much was the hours? 194 hours. And I believe that's accurate. And everyone knows the money that was brought in, at the MCPD, income's $13,000, almost $14,000. And then of course our village stuff was $6,000. So I just looked at that and if you use minimum wage as a calculation, it's about $2,000.
Have you talked to her? Because I thought she didn't want to get to.
She did, but then I think she warmed up to it. It had something to do with the different reasons, but I spoke with, she got me the hours, in that email that I forwarded, so that came from her.
Yeah, oh,
So she was opposed to it, she wouldn't have,
right.
so, and we talked about it in the past. And she does a great job, I want her to continue doing it. Her time's worth something, it's a lot of time. And she does a great job with the spreadsheets, and she'll do her whole afternoon on that Saturday for a public sale. There's a
So
lot.
were you thinking, I didn't see your email, so were you thinking of like a one-time payment?
No, well, one-time payment for the season, or however it needs to be handled. Gary would be better at that.
And how much?
But minimum wage would put her at about $2,000. I was thinking 2,500, but I wanted to put that out there and get some feedback.
So
from
that would
rest
be
of
for the
council.
whole season.
For the whole season. And I think that would be fair, but
Are you making a motion?
I am,
I have a question first.
yes.
Do we know that we are handling the stickers for the park district again this year?
I would, from what I understand, we are. They said nothing has changed on that. I know there was some grumbling about it, but you're pretty in the know. You didn't hear, did you?
Nothing has changed, we're
Nothing
just
has changed.
Yeah,
selling.
that's what I heard that.
Okay, but it's continuing as it did last year?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just double
I
verifying.
mean, it might change, who knows?
They've
If we're
changed,
gonna vote on paying.
I believe they,
2,500
Debbie, you can tell us, you're one of them, what do you call it guys?
Stakeholder.
Okay,
He actually just sent something out this afternoon, I didn't look at it.
I think the only change is everybody pays $75.
yeah.
I believe that's,
And the
Help
other
some,
change
hurt
is,
some.
they're just going by the same criteria we use, which is living in either one of Well, in the village.
General fund, it's all in the pot.
That's what we use for the boat ramp. We don't look at like rights, they're not gonna either.
Well, from what I understand, it's gonna actually bring in some more people into the fold, into our fold, according to Amber.
Well, we've been also collecting the fees for Euclid Avenue.
There was more. I have to ask her about it, but she mentioned that they have to take a look at the email, came over and I set it out, but not a huge amount more, but there are gonna be more people that we're gonna be responsible for, apparently. But,
Are you talking about for the dogs?
for the docks,
It was supposed to just be the village and Euclid.
Right, that's all we're doing.
that's what it was
Ken.
last year, yeah.
And that's what it was supposed to be.
That's all we're doing,
In
Ken.
addition, now there'll be a
Okay.
$75 charge per dog.
Okay.
So there will be more money coming into the village.
Do you have a job description?
Job description? No, I would see the job, we could talk about it, but I figure ramp committee manager, right?
Well,
It makes sense.
my thought is you need to kind of gel it. You can't say, Amber says, okay, I'm done. We then have to find somebody new.
Well,
And the job description cannot be what Amber did.
right,
So
Well, did you write one up when she took over the responsibilities? Wasn't there something that kind of communicated to her what was expected?
so it was very loose, and it did come from me.
Well, Amber's very good and she
I don't
probably.
Yeah, she would help.
We never had an agreement
Very thorough.
written down.
She would write,
She's the one
she would
telling them
probably
what
put
passed.
together, if she decided not to do it, and I want to speak for her, but I'm pretty confident if she's like, man, I want to do this, I won't do it anymore, this is a lot of work, a year, 2 years from now, next year, I'm sure she would probably do us a solid and break it all down and help us in that aspect.
She has said more than once that she has it all kind of written down, so.
She does, she's got it.
well, then I would suggest we take that next step and formalize what she's written down. Now, most of us know Amber. I know Amber. She's pretty damn organized. She's pretty thoughtful, and she's reasonably articulate. Let's put it on paper, formalize it, and then we have something
We will
to
have it.
hang our hat on. And if you want to compensate her, I'm not objecting to that. What I'm objecting to is just loosey-goosing it. I'd like to formalize it.
The job responsibilities, I'm
You
sure
mean
she
you want
would,
a job description?
she would help us out with that. I mean, I'll ask her about it, I don't think she would have a problem with that.
Okay, so why don't you have a job description ready by next meeting, Ken?
Okay,
And then-
well, we could, are we okay to approve that, or do we need to wait on that?
Let's wait.
Let's wait, but you
Okay.
could broach her and say, you were talking $2,500. Does that
Okay.
satisfy it? That way-
She won't start selling those things till April or May anyway.
Yeah, she's in
I
Florida.
don't think they have half
We'll
of them
start
printed.
at 2.
Yeah, right.
I didn't hear.
Well, I know we print our own and the Park District may not have theirs ready.
Yeah,
So you have time.
okay, yeah, well, that's good, then we can kind of get through that, and I don't have a huge one, we got our, purchasing some,
I have a question about the docks though.
Yeah.
Is that a $75 fee for each dock that touches land? Or if a dock goes out and has 3 or 4 docks?
It's for each dog that touches the land.
I
Okay.
thought that.
I
well, it's
thought
called
it was
clipping.
$5.
What's
No,
that?
that's tied to the boat.
It's
No,
tied to the boat, yes, I'm sorry, it's the boat, but there's also a dock fee that's gonna come in too, but I take that.
We are not doing the dock fees. The
Yeah.
Park District's doing the dock fees. The stickers you get from the Park District have been a couple different prices over the years. They'll all be $75
of
now.
course.
So for some people, that is an increase, and for some people, that's a nice decrease in price. And that is what we sell.
Right,
That's
so
for
it's
a
for the
boat
boat,
to
you're
be
right.
on.
It's
For
a
the
boat
You
fee.
have it on your boat, so your boat can be on the dock.
Okay.
It's a
There
dock
will
game.
be an increase in your income. So, And then the dog fee, you're right.
Won't be in my
That's what I was
personal
looking-
income, I'll
what's
tell you
that?
that.
What?
Won't be an increase in my personal income, it'll be quite a decrease.
It's nice, third film's 14 grand.
The docks, there's a fee for those too, now that the dock, people who put the docks on the touch the water have to pay a fee now to the park district.
Now, I was from the dock owner,
The dock owner has to pay a fee.
I didn't hear
I
that,
think it's like $25.
The park district's handling that.
but $25.
And it's going to the parks.
Okay.
And there's an insurance requirement also on this, $1 million insurance.
There always has been.
What dollar?
Yeah.
Say that
A
again?
million,
Million.
$1 million
$1 million policy that you have
From
to
the
carry.
dock.
And they check on the people, and we're not doing it. They're doing it. We're doing what we did before, the only change is the price.
We sell them both
We
stickers.
sell the stickers, the park district stickers that go on the boats that allow them to be on the dock. That's up to them to find their own dock, not us.
Yeah,
And we keep the money. Those are the two things we do.
keep the
That's our
money.
favorite, keeping the money.
But yeah, so we're looking at, was it this year coming up? A lot of keys. I had some figures here, I don't have them in front of me. But,
We're getting new
it's
people.
gonna get exciting here in parks coming up soon.
When are you thinking of putting the kayak launch back in?
With the what?
Kayak launch.
When it gets a little warmer, but, at a time, because we need that, that's our dock to, launch the boats here. So it's gonna happen before people start putting their boats in the
It's
water.
supposed to get pretty warm this week. I grant you it was cold last week.
Yeah, but nobody even has the keys yet. So I would think it would have to be after.
But you haven't changed the lock yet.
No, we haven't.
And what are you doing
There's
about
no,
that?
there's no key, there's no lock on there right now, so.
Now, what are you
They're
doing
broke.
about that? You said you were gonna figure something out.
Yeah, I do, I got it all figured out, that's what I just talked about. So we have a new lock that we're purchasing. And, it's a decent lock, it's not the high security lock, but it's fine, you know, it'll work out. And, that should be, I have Keith agreed to weld the lock on our chain. So that's, it's all happening. It'll be done by probably the next couple weeks. But nobody's gonna have keys for their
So
lock.
the chain laying,
I grabbed it today.
while it was laying just randomly, like between the launch and the gate. So I picked it up and I hung it over the thing, but I didn't have any way to secure it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did that, because I don't want to see that come out missing.
And where are you
So I put it in my
getting
car.
Where are you getting the keys from? Albright?
All right.
And
Yeah,
if
it's
you, I'll probably need additional keys for the deputies in the fire department.
Yeah, we're gonna get extra. So, yeah. So we gotta figure out a way.
Are you gonna do the same kind of key, where it says do not duplicate on?
It's gonna say do not duplicate, and they're not supposed to be able to duplicate it, but it's not gonna be that high security key. The way the old keys worked, they had almost like a master, it was two-sided, and one side, came from the manufacturer, so that nobody could duplicate that at all. And then the other side was cut by your locksmith. So bottom line is they cannot take that anywhere and have it duplicated. Well, those are, they don't make those keys anymore. They don't make the locks anymore. I couldn't locate anything like that. Plus, they're very expensive, and I think we're gonna be fine with this master lock they suggested. So it's still high security. It's not high security, but it's still heavy duty, and it's a commercial grade lock.
So right now, everything's open, there's no lock.
It's been that way since last
And
year.
you can order some spare locks, so when something happens to these locks, all of a sudden you got no
Yep.
lock.
Yeah, because they're not
Because we go
that,
through at
they're
least-
$50.
We go through at least 2 of them a year, you better have
Yeah,
more
well,
on hand.
Hey, it just seems that way, but really, we had the same two for a long time. I mean, before me, well before me, and
But
they
they
just
were,
started
they were
breaking.
replaced here and there, that, I was just saying, if it's gonna be a matter of we have those keys around, say, 5 years or something.
Yeah,
That you wanna have enough of those locks on hand, so that when something does happen, you'll be able to go down there with another one, you don't go and they say, we don't make that anymore, like happened.
no, that's a good point, because they're not expensive, I'll pick up like 5 of them.
Cause you never know when something's gonna happen to that lock,
Right,
and so you wanna, kind of have enough so that it gets you through.
yeah,
Because if that's the only thing these keys will fit, then we got the problem, we gotta start all over.
It is a problem, but,
So are these locks gonna be able to be rekeyed every 3 years?
Yep.
So we can use the same lock or
Yeah.
rekey it to a different?
just a different key, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent lock. We'll see what happens. We're not married to the lock. We are for 4 years, but other than that, we could see what happens with these and how well that they last. That last lock we had, it didn't even last a season. And that was a unique situation because we actually had to have it keyed to our present keys that everybody had. And that was quite expensive. I think that cost us like $300-400 just to have that done, and then it didn't last, fell apart. So I was told that this is a better lock and it should last. So, see what happens.
Albright's is good about, when I went up to get a key made for the deputies for the building here, the key said, do not duplicate, and they weren't gonna duplicate it. So I had to show him my driver's license, and he went to the village website that showed that I was on council, because he wasn't gonna duplicate it. So they're good about, they are, I don't know about other locksmith companies, but
We're not just double over.
I mean, if they're honest, they shouldn't be doing that.
Well, they're gonna be stamped and numbered, like they always have been. Stamped, do not duplicate, and they're all gonna be numbered. And honestly, I don't think too many people are gonna go that extra step to try to, break our rules. Not now that they could, if they need to get on the lake, they can just do it whenever they want at the public ground. So it's not like it used to be when we were the only game in town. So that's but other than that, I think that's all I got. I do have one other thing. Now, I talked about this a couple of years ago, as for bringing an assistant beach manager in, paying her, basically having her or him kind of learn the manager position, be trained as a manager, for the future and whatnot. So if we could find the right person to take that role on, it wouldn't cost us much. I envision maybe $1 more than the senior beach attendant. And, but yet, again, with the responsibilities, if somebody can't cover a shift, it would be the number 2 person, just somebody else to kind of have a little more responsible than just your young beach attendant. And, that's kind of my thought process. I floated it out there a couple of years ago, just never happened. You have to find the right person, but anyone have any thoughts on that?
Do we have any returning beach attendants that would meet that criteria that did this last year?
Oh, I'm sure. The problem with that is me personally, I would rather have somebody that's a little bit older just because, but yeah, if the position's out there, it would be open to whoever the right person would be, and the beach manager would make that decision. But the problem is putting it, somebody that's just returned high school kid, they're gonna be gone. So it almost defeats the purpose. The whole purpose is if your current beach manager says, well, I don't want to do this after next season, well, you got to bring somebody else in. You got to train them, and that's no joke. You can't train a new beach manager every year. At least you don't want to do that.
Can you tell that Ken had to fill in from time to time last year as beach manager, and he worked a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, we've been lucky, but it's a lot of work. So it's no joke. That's why it'd be nice to have somebody, if it costs an extra $1 an hour to bring someone in to have a little more responsibility and take ownership of the job a little bit more.
There's a lot of texting involved in this managing teenagers.
Yeah, right, yeah. And they ignore me, I'm like, you kidding me?
Well, you can come.
So would you want,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
would you want your manager to pick the supervisor? Is that?
And she'll be a part of it. It'll be a decision, that's made.
Does Kelsey know anybody that she's brought up to you?
She knows a lot of the returning people. We had another person in mind that she knows that might be a good fit, but then again, who knows? It's just something that we're gonna kind of discuss and figure out what the best course of action is. But yeah, if she's gonna be the one working with the person, not me, for the most part. So we would have to be somebody that, the beach manager,
So this would be
like
the
to feel
assistant
comfortable.
manager.
It would be the assistant beach manager, gets $1 more or whatever we decide, and takes on some more responsibility. That's,
Do we pay the beach manager by the hour, or do we pay them a salary for the summer?
salary.
I have a question for Parks if we're done with this.
Yeah, just one, experience that sometimes assistant manager might be good. I've heard student managers being used as a term, coming up with the right description. And some of that is good development for these students, or, as they move through their life, if they have manager qualities or leadership qualities that help reinforce that, so you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah,
And having those people work with other people, the people relationships, responsibility, cover shifts, all that kind of stuff falls in line to that.
it's all positive stuff, and if somebody is they're actually the assistant manager, you're not gonna be, laughing yourself to the bank or anything, but it makes you feel like, makes you wanna take more ownership, makes you wanna do a better job, makes you have more pride than just somebody over there, punching a clock and just wait until the shift is over.
Absolutely.
Just kind of a mental thing.
Go for it.
At least I'm hoping it's gonna work out that way, we'll see.
So you're making a motion to.
I don't think we need a motion for that, do we?
We do, because it's gonna impact cost.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to create a assistant beach manager or parks manager, I think is technically the term, position. And this position would pay, which we don't have all the numbers down yet because with minimum wage and whatnot, I don't have them handy. But this position would pay $1 more than the senior beach attendant
Per hour.
per hour. And it would come with other responsibilities too. Like if she had to do it, or he or whoever it is would have to do, that doesn't get it. I guess that's all I need to say right now.
But he needs just a budget adjustment, so if it's, how many hours is beach attendant working a month or the season, 300 or 400, is that?
It's usually not that high.
So you just say for an arbitrary number, additional $400 to cover it, and then you're.
I would think that maybe even limiting the number of hours. We don't want somebody going out there and working,
8 hours every day?
Well,
yeah.
the idea is, at least I kind of envision the person taking, because they're getting an extra $1, which isn't much, that they're gonna be filling a lot of shifts because they're getting more money. And then it's kind of their responsibility, if somebody calls off and the beach is left open, that they need to pitch in, then it really wouldn't cost us any more except for an extra $1 an hour. That's it. But as for us paying them for tasks and things that are done on behalf of the village, I think that's gonna be minimal, but I don't know.
Well, again, here I go. Job description. Do we have a job description for the beach manager?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, about a job description for the position you envision. Enumerate the responsibilities of said person and put a dollar figure to that position.
Well, it wouldn't be, dollar figure, unless you have some other ideas, I was thinking a increase per hour while you're on your shift.
Well,
That's fine, but if you,
You put it in
on
writing.
Gary's side, if you bump it up by $300, then by the time you plus it up for social security and all of the extra, that adds another hour. That's why I said 400 for the season.
Yeah,
Come up with a number, just.
that would be fine. That amount would definitely be fine. And I think if we could, move forward with that, and I'll put a pen and paper to a job description before next month. But I think that would be plenty, increase it by the budget by $400.
Just so you all know how this beach attendant business works. You hire them in June, or they start in June, and you hire a number of them. They They do okay till about the 4th of July, then they start slowly dropping off one by one. Then August, you have a problem because most of them fell by the wayside, so then you just got a little certain crew to keep working. And this goes on every single year.
Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't negate the necessity of having a job description.
So to limit someone's
That's a good
hours in that way,
I think
what I'm
we'll
getting at there is it might be a problem.
It takes some of the pain out of it.
Then you get on Facebook and somebody says, why isn't the beach open? Instead of calling someone.
It's on the website.
That's right. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm sorry. My sarcasm is just.
I know, I was.
I know, I had to head up to the beach quite a few times this last summer.
It was good for you.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
so Ken made
fine.
a motion, is there a second?
Should we wait until next month when we have a?
I'd rather get it in place. It's not that big of a, just because of
We
the
have a
job
couple months.
description.
What about like a college intern, like a recreation major, maybe an education major, somebody?
It's not a
I don't think
highly
we
sought
pay
after job.
Yeah, it really
I just
needs to be
don't-
someone that's flexible, that's available.
Yeah,
Affordable.
Right.
Right.
affordable, yeah.
And if they're known to have a car, they usually don't take this job.
Right, because one of the best beach attendants we had took a job at McDonald's because it paid more, so.
Mhm. You work pretty hard at McDonald's.
Yeah.
All you did too,
That's true.
that's no joke.
You're gonna earn it.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't
money
work that hard
motivates
as a beach
people.
attendant.
Second, I'm a second motion.
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay,
Opposed only in the point of view that we need a job description.
Yes,
and what was the title, Ken? Assistant what?
assistant park manager, because I think officially it's a park manager, right? Isn't that the,
Park manager.
somebody came up with that before me. Guess it makes sense if you want to be using it in other areas of the community. Yeah, that's it. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question, I'm not sure if this is for parks or zoning or, at the, I'll call it the island at Willowwood and Rock Ridge.
Hmm.
There is a sign made out of a rubber floor tile, a fly swatter, and it's zip tied to the stop sign, and it says Briarwood Beach Garden Club. I'm guessing someone from the garden club made it. I don't know if they're trying to say that this island is maintained by the Briarwood Beach
It is.
Garden Club, or they're having a meeting at the Briarwood there, or what it's for.
I think they have their flower pot there, maybe it's up there from the flower pots, the ball pots.
Okay, okay.
I thought it looked nice up there last time. Yeah, I noticed that it was nice and kept. Maybe it's always.
Well,
been that way.
I was just gonna suggest if we're gonna keep a sign there, that it look a little, maybe use the floor tile with Sharpie written on it, or it needs to come down. I saw it today for the first time, so it wasn't my place to take it down. I didn't know if it meant something more than there used to be a flower.
If it was for the fall pot, it probably just needs to come down.
Okay.
It's probably not
Because
something
remember,
out
they
there.
put signs by them when they decorated for fall, yes, Helen.
Well, I was involved with that. I approached the garden club because that triangle was bare. And I thought at that time, I was in community relations, I thought it would be a nice addition. Went to the garden club, they couldn't do anything. Went to Pride got the Stevenson Foundation to contribute $10,000 to do that decoration. So really, if the garden club did a pot, which usually is done by Pride, I guess I have people putting signs up that aren't at the quality level that you want. And I would question if garden club has anything to do with that event.
Yeah, I think it was probably left over from a pot and it just was mistakenly not taken down, and the pot was taken down.
Gotcha. Okay, and then one more thing, the pet box that's down at Lake Park, I don't know where it came from, who maintains it or what, but
A group in Wadsworth.
oftentimes, like today, I found human food. Today there was coffee in there. People are putting like food, and it's not a food pantry, it's a dog box. So I don't know if that matters, if nobody cares.
Is there a sign on there that says pet pantry or?
It says pet box, it's for like donations.
Yeah, I know what it is, but
Anything for pets.
I thought it said,
Coffee and.
yeah,
Is there still another donation box up by Contessa's?
Contessa's, yeah.
There is, yeah.
We could Put a social media blast out there
Right, no.
and remind people that there's the box by Contessa's
Right.
for
Or get the dogs to
those
start drinking
non-perishable
coffee.
I mean, to be honest, it's not hurting me, I just,
I
you
got
know,
a truck.
From a human safety situation, I'd be very leery of human food.
there's been boxes of macaroni and cheese in there, I've seen all kinds of people food in there, and I've seen,
The second part of that, poor people eat dog food.
yeah, well,
You
then,
don't know that, it happens. And you don't have to go
Well,
to Korea.
You've seen that stuff in there, do people come and take it? I mean, they probably just,
They could, I would just say they're gonna, I mean, it's a free will offering, I think April Winters had something to do with that.
it was a group from Wadsworth that called and asked.
But I think, farmers' relationship, Brad, April,
it's not a bad
Yes,
thing, I mean,
yes.
I've put many pet things in there, but on my walks, I see people things in there too, I just didn't know if it matters.
I would think since it's within our purview, meaning it's within the village,
Right.
and if we find an inappropriate item in said box, or get it out of there. Because by virtue of the fact we allow it to take place,
Right,
we're okay with it, and we're not okay with it.
right.
They may, and you don't know what their intention is.
Right,
It could be well-meaning,
yep,
or they could not.
the food pantry at the Church's Lake would, if it's valid materials, would be glad to take this.
yeah, that's a
It
good
goes to
idea.
the right place. And Jay Barrett is kind of your son.
Yep,
Okay, now we're gonna go to streets unless you guys got more questions about something.
No.
Streets.
Okay. We're gonna put something up on the TV here in a minute.
Technology.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, okay.
yes, would you like to join me?
Nobody text messaged me anything that you don't want everybody else in this room to see.
All right. You can read this for yourself, and it's not my intention to read it to you. But we are at a point in our history, we need more money. Simple point, in fact. You will find two financial reports or estimates from Engineering Associates in front of you. First one, what I'm talking about is Brookshore. To do the remainder of Brookshore, it's not on there,
You want me to scroll to that point, right?
$843,500. Option two is redoing Brookshore from Rock Ridge to Briarwood. $568,500.
What's the first one from
Right here.
Berkshire to
Brookshore to
Rustic Brook? Okay.
Rustic
All
Road,
right,
$843,500.
okay.
Now, realize that these figures will be affected by a later point in time when Josh Piscon, who's affiliated with Engineering Associates, has a more accurate view of what material costs are gonna be and other related costs, because it keeps increasing. there's a wild possibility that it might actually decrease a bit because gasoline costs are down. And fuel oil and blacktop go hand in hand. Now, what happened to the
Oh, sorry, my phone went to sleep.
expanded, so we can move the market?
All right, so you wanna see this part, correct, the options?
Yeah,
All right,
so we currently are paying $5,100 and $187.33 to repay our loan. And Gary and I decided, Gary largely decided, we don't have a Chinaman's chance of funding the larger project to do the whole length. So depending on what option you would draw up, you're looking at these repay figures because we would secure another loan. So the way that works is you would add phase 9 loan in addition to phase 10 loan, depending upon what option we put our hands around. And we have other roadways that need significant improvement. And they would include Lelore, Shorefield, Northvale, Park Lake, Briarwood, and Brookshire that I've already talked about.
Brookshire is the highest priority, or is that just the one most?
That's the highest priority because we've done the lower end. So I'm talking about doing the continuation of the mid-level. And then the next year we do the upper level. And then we have Rustic Rook. Did I mention that? No, I did not. Rustic Rook.
The loans are zero interest loans.
They are, but they're thousands of dollars. So Gary and I contacted RETA, which is a regional income tax agency. And they represent the entire state of Ohio. We have legislative authority as a village to enact a 1% income tax. And they estimate a generation of revenue of $189,000 per year. Now, you need to understand that of my budget, roads and bridges, 286,500. 137,781 is already appropriated. So that's already been spent, is another way of saying that. So I have available to me, to us, the village, 148,719. Now, I've got a paving company coming out mid-month, and we're gonna browse the village, and I will have estimates of what the roads are gonna require in the way of maintenance. By that, I mean paving, pothole repair, etc. The simple fact of the matter is, we cannot sustain a proactive maintenance program with current revenues. It's impossible. Nobody likes to say the tax word out loud. But that frankly is where we find ourselves.
When does our current road levy expire and how much is that generating?
Do you have that, Gary?
It's up for renewal in 2027 and 2028. So it's got some time on it.
we just renewed it last year.
How much money does that bring in? Because I know before we increased it a little bit, it was 27,000, which doesn't even pay for potholes.
Was renewed at 3 mils.
it just doesn't generate the kind of money required to go forward. And Medina County is the district that we work within. And they give you value points based upon the level and detail of work that you're doing.
OPWC does.
Well, OPWC gives the money to the district. The district makes the decision to grant the reward, unless they kick you down to small business, which is a different but similar award program. So it goes back to Senate Bill 2 or House Bill 2, I forget which is it.
2.
2. I know it was 2, I didn't know.
State issue 2.
State issue 2, but we have been fortunate thus far for a village of our size to had the foresight to maintain our infrastructure. But now we're having a come to Jesus moment. And if we want to continue that, and I highly recommend that we do so, we're going to have to find extra revenue.
So this loan that we have, we took that out originally in 2024, correct? And it's 30 years, the first loan that we took out?
Yes.
Our $5,000 a year payment.
Yes.
If we add on to this loan this year, is it due in 30 years from this year? So it would be due in 2055?
They're,
Or is it all due by 2054?
no, they're separate entities. You can't commingle
Okay,
them.
so
We
it
have,
would
we have
be,
2 loans.
okay, so it would be 30 years, and then in 31 years, loan number 2 needs to be paid off.
Yeah, now there's no prepayment penalty with paying a loan off. But at this juncture, that's impossible.
But we keep adding loan after loan after loan. In the next 5 years, in the next 5 streets, we're at $30,000 or $40,000 that's due. And then what if in 10 or 15 years from now, the village doesn't have that to pay it off?
Which is why I recommend that we consider the income tax. We have to find a way to supplement additional money to meet our expenses.
So I understand that we need the money and that income tax is a good source, but we also have to keep in mind what our property taxes already are. And the fact that we're already paying a school district, what is that, 1.25% income tax for the school district?
Money.
On top of, I mean, so the school district is already getting our property tax money plus our income tax money. And,
But they're not paving our streets.
right, but the other part of it is that income tax is not gonna, I mean, retirement income is not taxed for income tax revenue. So, again, I think that we're putting a lot of burden on the people that are in the village that are working to have more taxes taken out of their pay. I mean, I know our roads levies aren't generating a whole lot, but is there any way to do a roads levy to cover it as opposed to an income tax? I'm just asking, just because I know that no retirement money is gonna contribute to this income tax for these roads. So that burden is placed on the working.
Well, I know of another jurisdiction. And when they improve a street, they have property assessments. And if
That's an option.
they put a property assessment on the properties on that street. Now, the other argument that's not being talked about out loud is I pay for it and you drive on it. I guess the way I see it is we are completely blessed to live where we do. And I am remarkably proud of what we have. You literally can walk about all hours of the day and night in safety. We have an exceedingly low crime rate. But we're deficient. We have a stormwater policy. Look it up in your book. We have a stormwater policy. We need to do a better job managing that process. And the only way you're gonna manage that process is to have a viable system in place. And that costs you a lot of money. And those costs are gonna continue to creep up. I know perhaps some of you find it untenable, but when you look at a place you wanna live, what do you want? You want to drive around and do that? No, you don't. Do you want to say I have marginal schools that don't provide the opportunities for the students? Whether you have a child in that system or you know of a child in that system. You know, my children are grown adults and have their own families. But I'm proud that Cloverleaf is a viable educational facility that not only supports the residents at large, but provides an excellent educational opportunity for the student. That's a plus for me. Having the roads maintained is a plus. It's part of our infrastructure. That's how we grow, how we maintain. And how many of you have been the recipients of, wow, I had no idea you were there. This is really nice. This looks good. I'm shocked. I had no idea it was here. At some point, when you choose to do it now, or choose to do it not now, but at some point in the future, you're going to have to do it. Speaking personally, I'd like to have this put in place so that as a manager of the roads, I can look ahead to the future and know that we're going to keep moving forward and have the revenue to support that. And this revenue is going to come into the general fund. So as we have other financial needs, we can use it in other locales. This is not exclusively a road fund.
Well, the prior regimes were patient. Couldn't do it next year, you wait another, or you wait 3 years till you got the corpus of your amount to come forward. I can't imagine what percent of that pass $180,000 a year that's gonna go to one block in Brookshire. I can't imagine the community voting for that, but.
Well, it's not just Brookshire. We would do more projects, Alan, if we had the money.
Not 180,000, that doesn't get you close.
Are we getting quotes from other people too, or are you just using one company?
That company, Rita,
No, I'm talking about the price to repair the roads, and it sounded like you were just working with one. I don't know who's doing the roads anymore, I haven't been paying attention.
well, what happens is, this is an engineering yardstick.
Yeah, they give you an estimate and you try to usually get.
And then
they're
you
pros, they keep it pretty close.
And you use that to
Oh,
then
engineering, right.
secure bids.
Well, two things. I think it's really good you brought it on the table and laid it out. The complexity of this, I think, we have a finance committee that is supposed to be in place to help sort through these things, and everybody's a member of that. But I think this is a separate kind of topic, when you're talking about the future, that you have something in place. It can't be decided in this kind of thing. It's way too complicated for me, and I don't have any input from Gary on the numbers where it's coming from. But, you know, if you're trying to do it every year, you'll have to do something special. In the past, we've been patient for 2 or 3 years until we had the money to do it. So are you gonna be patient, or are you gonna go to the public and get your nose broke?
Well, and even when we took out the loan the last time, we had a meeting and Gary expressed concern about getting a loan and adding to it and, you know, what kind of financial situation we're gonna put ourselves in the future. I mean, we had this meeting a year ago, I think, when we had the.
I guess what you need to understand is, we need to think about it, we need to start talking about it, and we need an action plan. Or I can bring a bucket of sand, and you can stick your head in the sand, or individually or collectively. This problem is not gonna go away.
But it could create a problem 30 years from now or 20 years from now, when half of the people in this room, no offense, aren't gonna be here. But I will be here to try and fix it then, so I need to make the right decision now.
Well, and that's good. So
Right.
what I'm trying to do is create a wake-up call, if you will. You are free to put together any group of individuals you choose. But we need to get off the dime.
I think we should take this information and then everyone review it, and we have a finance committee meeting to talk
That's a good
about
idea.
it a little more in depth.
And we can do that, but we're all affected,
Right.
all of us.
I think something else that we need to take into consideration is how, no matter, we obviously need to do something, but on the front side, I think we need to do a better job of being transparent about where our funds come from. Because there's a lot of people, a lot of things that we spend money on, and people are like, well, you put in a new bocce ball court, but now you're gonna ask us for, you know, when the money from the bocce ball court or whatever came from that donation, I'm guessing, I don't recall.
It was the endowment.
Yep.
Right, yeah, we need to do a good job of letting people know, we're not wasting anybody's money here. Because
No,
that is what
good
people
stewards.
see, people see, oh, well, you redid the tennis court, but I can't drive down Brookshore. You know, we need to do, and I don't know if we need to put a couple social media things out there, put it in the newsletter, but we need to be transparent so that if we ever do need to ask for money, people understand.
That's good. That's good. I absolutely do not disagree. And I'm not asking you to make a decision here now and say, oh yeah, let's do this. And how many of you looked at the Rita site? I put that in the email. Did anybody go there and look? You can customize how you do your.
I opened it.
There's no free rides, boys and girls, so to speak. Make it a bad pun.
Big cash outflow there, that's for sure.
So where you have in this first paragraph that there's 148 and change in non-committed road monies.
That's what's available for me to spend, Barb.
Right, because the other 137 is already appropriated. So if that money is not touched, it carries over and could be used, like what Alan said, you know, we don't do anything this year. We wait a year or two, and then that might double. And then you have 300,000.
Well, I would suggest that you need to drive about the village and look with a.
I'm on the
critical eye.
village roads every day,
I
so,
know.
I mean,
was
I'm.
ran off the road today, oh, that was on Chippewa.
So-
Yeah, you'll
Me too.
Yeah.
So you've noticed the blowouts and the potholes
Right,
and
so,
the areas that dry out because a blacktop road needs to be oiled.
right,
And when it begins to dry out, and lose the oil, it loses the adhesion. It becomes gravelly on the edges, the edges start breaking off.
right. And the road salt doesn't help that at all.
So,
But I'm just saying though, like, as what Alan said, is that if we can maintain our roads and do the repairs as we have done in the past and do a road project every 2 or 3 years, I mean, as opposed to adding an additional tax.
Except right now, we're only doing half a road project, right? Half-
Yeah, I did the lower half, and the reason we did that is years prior, we approved the engineering work.
Right.
It was either, Gary could correct me, it's either $54,000 or $56,000. One, I'm just not gonna take that, make a spitball out of it and throw it in the ash can. We made a collective commitment, realizing it, whether or not we made it. We made it as a council to do that road and spent $56,000.
The road grant started actually in 2003. Terry Biddle was the mayor then. He's the one that got the first one. And it was on Longacre and Bass Bay because there was basements flooding over there and things. And so at that time, of course, he quit. He resigned as mayor before they started doing this. So I was the mayor, Keith was the roads guy, and it was a learning process from the get-go. But the thing was, he did get the first grant. At that time, of course, the costs were much lower for everything. So you could say to everybody, well, you know, if we spend, you know, $50,000, we're gonna get $450,000. And so everybody, well, get it, yeah, right. So that started, Keith made more or less a map of how he was gonna do all this. So the roads have gone pretty much over to Brookshore, where we did phase 9. We've been lucky enough to get these grants over the years. It has saved us a lot of money, and of course, the grants were made for just what we have is road work we need to be done, we couldn't possibly afford. The problem, one of the problems now, well, in my mind, the loan was a problem, but that's just me. I never liked that loan. We were told a couple of years ago that we had to have a loan with this in order to get a grant, and that year we did not apply. Then we found out the next year, we really did not have to have a loan to get the grant, but for some reason, we got the loan anyway. So now all of a sudden, you've got, I'm trying to think how much Craggy Creek, the whole length of Craggy Creek seemed astounding at the time, and I feel like it was like $600,000 or something. Now, look, we've got from Brookshire, from Rockridge to Briarwood Boulevard, it's almost $1 million, and probably will be this year because the costs, that was 858 was last year. So this year it probably will be $1 million for just that little section of road. So that's one of the things that really is working against us is we match at 10 or 11% on these things. But now the match is getting up really high. So I know Bud feels bad because the programs were going along pretty well. We do them about every other year. We'd apply every year, but they would award them about every other year. One year we actually got 2 of them. So the roads he's mentioned are the ones that are left. Now the old Chippewa and the Lake roads all had sewers. The Briarwood Beach ones did not, and many of them still do not. The ones that are left to be done, like Brookshore.
When we redo these streets like Brookshore, are we redoing everything?
Yes, we redo everything.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
the sanitary and the water lines are owned by the sanitary department.
right.
County.
And they cover the expense related to those 2 pieces of infrastructure. The storm sewer and the road project itself belongs to us.
And then, am I wrong, but did we just find out that if we do these kind of projects in the future, now we have to pay to move the utility, the electric
That was
lines?
voted down.
That was voted down, okay, got it.
That's not the law now.
But I don't want to drag you guys into the weeds, but it's a very complicated point award. And that's how they make the decision about who's gonna get a grant or not.
Well, that's why we have engineering associates too. You're saying, why do you have those engineers? They cost a lot of money. They do. But without them, you wouldn't even begin to be able to get a grant. They do all the studies, they figure out the points, they figured out ways to do these grants. And Keith and them had it pretty well down pat how many points we needed and what we needed for. You did get extra points for having a loan. So that's probably why we got the Brook Shore one, because we were turned down on that one first. But now unfortunately, now we got the second half of Brook Shore, but the price of that went way up.
And for those,
And they're gonna get higher, we all know that.
and for those of you engaged in private business, relationships are key. No substitute for a positive relationship with the entities you're working with. Absolutely crucial.
Can we apply for a grant without getting a loan?
You can, but the chances of being awarded that are slim and none, frankly.
But you do have to have your engineering study, so that
So
would
you
be the
still
other
have to
thing.
put out 50 to 60,000 for engineering.
Right, so you have to have that done, like, we'd probably have to have one done this year. Now with that levy being involved in May, I don't really know how that works, because, you know, we could run out right now and get the engineer and let him do the study on that road, and then that, eventually they'll tell us how much it will cost to fix the way we want to.
And you'll
But
notice,
if they stop funding, if issue 2 does not pass,
Then all of this is.
then what's the point?
and then Gary asked that we make our commitment to expand our budget if necessary. If we were to agree to go forward with the engineering study, it's $38,000 for the next piece of road we're talking about.
That's cheaper than the last one was.
I didn't do that because of what you just mentioned.
Well, yeah, if they don't pass the levy, then what's the point? Then what?
I've committed that money,
So we'd have to get it after May 2nd, for one thing.
so
It's definitely a process. We've been lucky enough to get the money over the years, and now we just,
honestly, everybody, it drives me crazy. I hate having a kind of, sort of conversation. You'll think I'm nuts.
well, we think
What-
that
what
anyway,
it-
but, so you
what
have
it-
to work.
It flexes, it moves around, it's not static.
In talking about relationships, I had mentioned to Joanne, this is slightly off topic, that I think it would be nice for the council members to get name tags, because I've been going to some events on behalf of council, I've seen Bud and Alan at events, and it would be nice to be recognized as a council member, you know, because a lot of times I go places, people think I'm representing the Board of Realtors or MC Real Estate, but I'm going as a council member, and I would like to be recognized as such when I go shake someone's hand, county commissioners I'm friends with, and stuff like that. So I forgot, Joanne told me to look into a price for getting name tags and share it with Gary, but that's true, but I mean, we are all building.
You know, you should call B&D Trophy and see if they can make that stuff.
So,
But this is good.
thank you for listening.
I think the action out of this, Bud, I think, is that the finance committee is really an ad hoc committee at the discretion of the mayor.
Right.
You're appointed, you're on the list.
Well, Bud and I are appointed, but there's really no charter on that. So if you wish for the finance committee to deep dive into this, I think if the mayor gives a blessing, everybody on the council and everybody in the community could attend the meetings. But there's so complexity of what happens if this happens, if this happens, if this happens, or this doesn't happen. I think you need to have, I mean, I've got a pretty good idea of finances, and I don't understand any of this without reading it hard. And really.
The government makes it that way now.
I get the value a loan provides to us.
Oh, I understand the loan.
You don't have to empty out your sock drawer.
It's all the other things you're asking for, that we need to understand, and Gary needs to be involved with this, so we really have a good idea, because in the past,
Hey,
we were
Gary,
just patient, we waited 3 years, and then, wow, all of a sudden you got $300,000 or $400,000 in cash there to spend.
Gary's invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
He's an invaluable resource. And so is Josh.
Well, he has a lot of experience, and he knows their numbers.
Right.
Till I deep dive.
And he works on them for Burbank.
Yeah, I understand.
But when is the grant papers have to be turned in for review and decision? Is it after the?
I think we probably missed the first threshold.
No, we're okay.
No, we're not. You don't have to turn anything in until September.
The September is the deadline to submit the OPWC grant application.
Well, okay.
So if the issue doesn't pass, or the issue passes,
There's time after that.
there's time after that to do.
But we still have the engineering study that's a requirement.
But you could get an engineering study after May.
Did you say that you did Brookshore already and engineered at 56,000? You did the whole line committed to doing Brookshore?
No, the engineering study was for the bottom piece. Each section requires a different engineering study.
That's why I was trying to say how these prices have gone up. We did the whole of Craig Creek, which in a way is one of our longer roads. And here, they're just doing a little piece of Brookshore. They want, so much more money. I don't know what we do about that.
So I encourage you to go to Rita. Just go with an open mind and look at it, and you will see there's 88 counties in Ohio, I think there's 7, maybe 5, that don't do business with Rita. That could be because they do something different, or they don't have any income tax there. So what I'm trying to share with you is our funding problem is not unique to Chippewa Lake.
On the prepayment of the engineering, association engineering, grants, there was some good methodology for that. I can't remember all of it, but when you put, make your grant, then engineering cost had to be, it used to be 15%, now I think they moved it down to 11%.
No, correct you, it's still 15.
Yeah, but Keith did something with it somehow that made it 11.
Well, the point was.
Now, he's told me this a million times, but and you too, I'm sure. And that's one of the reasons we got the grants.
It's the matching part.
It had something to do with lowering the engineering costs.
Right.
But
And they-
now,
Well, all
And they
these
did-
map toward the-
They did that by reducing the requirement of having an on-site representative of engineering associates.
right, and Keith went and did it himself,
We took on some of that responsibility.
right. So it's all kinds of little games you play, Alan, with these things.
Well, again, I think a good deep dive by a finance committee would be able to sort through some of that.
Well, you guys start having meetings, put them in
Well,
paper.
it's at the discretion of the mayor if you want to give it to us as a challenge.
Okay, go ahead, I challenge you. Find the money, no income tax, no loan.
No.
Burbank has an income tax, right?
We do. Yeah, we had to get an income tax just to survive. Our plowing and salting costs were driving us into
So just
the
operational
problems.
Right.
But now we use those income tax monies, because we have a few businesses, actually one big business, believe it or not, in Burbank, that's the nursing home. And that gives us the majority of our revenue. Because as Barb pointed out, people on retirement do not contribute towards Rita, okay? But employed people do, as well as any local business. So our revenues actually doubled over what Rita thought they would be because of the nursing home.
and you don't reach across the interstate.
No, right.
Makes you drool. Don't you want to add it?
That change.
Lodi has Rita tax as well.
Sorry?
Lodi has the Rita tax as well.
Oh, did
We started that in, I want to say 17.
Their revenues must really be good because they got a lot of businesses. And they're probably doing great.
Yeah, but their streets levy got turned down. They got no money for street.
So income tax, or the Rita, doesn't have to be voted on. That's something,
Doesn't have to, but
but a levy has to be voted on.
if you're a smart bear, you would certainly create an opportunity to have public meetings to discuss the whys and wherefores.
Absolutely. 1% is what you can get without a vote of the people. We do that by ordinance.
And we had those pre-meetings, we scheduled 2 pre-meetings in Burbank. And some of the people who came in were very much against it, very vocal. By the time we pointed out the reasons why and showed them in black and white why this was necessary, not one of them left saying this should not be passed.
Yeah.
And they didn't vote on it. Again, we enacted it with a 1% no vote, but they understood why we did it and they accepted it.
Plus, Rita sent representatives to help us.
Yes.
Can they vote, can the citizens enact to remove Rita? Do they have any rights? Does the citizen have any right?
Well, it was passed by an ordinance, so I suppose they could do a referendum.
Yeah, I guess it's.
It's too late for that now, but they could have. Or they could propose an initiative, which is another ordinance.
Would it be an income tax for eternity, or would there be a timeline on it?
Well, that's the other thing that I should mention. You can put a window on it if you want, or a time span. You know, I'm gonna do an income tax of 1% for 5 years. And then I'll evaluate it. And if we feel that we have appropriate monies in place, we'll suspend it.
You can always suspend it, but you don't, I don't think they're usually passed with a time limit. Because an ordinance can be repealed anytime.
How often does that happen? Does it get suspended? Probably 0% of the time.
Has it ever?
I mean, that's a
Well,
Rita,
because even with the
It's
school,
possible.
Rita question.
with the school income tax, they originally, if I recall correctly, came out and asked for 1%, it got voted down. And then they came back at 0.75, and that passed. And then they came back another time, not too long ago, and asked for another 0.5%, so they got their 1.25%. So I do believe that currently the schools get 1.25 income tax from the residents.
If you look at go to the Rita website, you'll find tax rate as high as 2 and over 2%.
Right.
2.25 in act.
So I'm not here to stick my hand in anybody's pocket. And this is not about Bud Hardesty. This is about the council, the village of Chippewa Lake. And we all have a collective responsibility to secure the place we love and to move it forward with the greatest amount of equity that we can put in place.
And this is just to be proactive, right? This plan from engineering.
I have zero interest in being a fireman.
Right.
Running around and putting out hazardous conditions.
Right.
And being forced to repair something that's gone to pot that I don't have the money to make the repairs. I want to be proactive. And as a village council, I recommend we be proactive. This is a proactive step.
From a financial point, Gary, what are your thoughts as our fiscal officer?
Well, Bud and I put this memo together that you received tonight. And, you know, this really tells it all. I mean, costs continue to accelerate. What we had to do in Burbank, because even with the income tax that we do get, we have to do roads in sections just like you're doing here. We simply cannot afford to do a whole section of road. It's impossible, even with the income tax. So if you want to keep moving forward and do something on an annual basis, you need more revenue. It's just that simple. I don't know how else to say it.
You know, we didn't apply last year to save up money to reapply. Did we plan to do it this year? Because obviously we don't have the money this year. So we didn't apply last year on purpose.
Well, we won a grant last year, and we can apply this year, because you can always do your engineering now. Of course, what's in the wind right now is this issue 2. If that thing fails, infrastructure work throughout Ohio will stop.
Well, normally what I meant was we didn't We did not apply last year. For one that hadn't got it, we would be starting it pretty soon this year. But we didn't apply. But we did get awarded phase 9 last year,
Correct. That's right, we did.
but we didn't apply for a new one last year. We didn't apply for 9 last year, we just started the work.
Well, that's because they released the monies in July.
Right,
So you're always doing this.
Right.
but we did not apply for a new grant in
No,
September
we did not.
with the idea that we were taking a year off. So we're on our year off right now. So would the plan have been to reapply this coming September?
Yes. And these were the options that were put out on this paper.
And yet we don't really have the money to do it.
No, we can. Which option do you wish? We do have the money. It's in there. The thing that you have to realize is when you apply for an OPWC grant, the current year, you're probably going to spend the money for the engineering to get all the design work and all that wrapped up. You don't begin paying construction costs until a year later.
Right, because you always get the money in July, even though the grant might be awarded in December.
Right, that's correct. Yeah. So then you have another year to accumulate more funds coming in with typical revenues, and so you're able to meet your.
And we've had a couple of them that the year the grant was awarded was not the year we started the work, we'd start after the first of the year.
Right, correct.
And the road and bridge money does not come in a lump sum.
None
Takes
of it
8 to
does.
9 months.
None of it always leaks out.
None of it does.
Is there any
Incrementally received.
feasible way of doing this without getting a loan? Is that even foreseeable?
Medina,
1% income tax.
the county has changed their view on what they want subdivisions like Chippewa Lake to invest with their own monies to get a grant. If we do a loan, we get extra points. If we don't do a loan, we lose those points. If we put more matching funds in, we get additional points. If we put minimal funds in, you lose points. It's all done on a point basis, and that's open and available to us. We know what the point structure is when we file the application. I always try to maximize the points. Why? Because you have the best chance of getting the grant. But do you have to? No. Are you running the chance then of probably not getting the grant? I think a higher probability of losing the grant, yes.
I think we should have a finance committee meeting and go over this stuff and have maybe like a 5-year plan for what streets need to get done. I mean, just so we all, because I don't think in this council meeting, we're all gonna understand how everything works. This is really good information, and I think we could all dig a little deeper and meet about this.
The plan is in place for what needs to be done.
Right.
So you know what the expense streams are, so you're looking at the revenue stream. You got road level.
Right.
You got RETA possibility. You have patients that your corpus builds up over a couple of years, so then you have that. So some of it is how impatient you are to have something done. And that gets done money.
Right.
But it is a point system. The one thing you can do is get your engineering costs out of the way so you have a clear idea of what you're expecting.
Well, and if you do your engineering, even before you apply for the grant, you get points for that.
Yeah, and that goes into your math. So it can be money well spent.
Yeah, you don't lose if you invest in the engineering unless issue 2 fails. And then you've invested the money and nothing's moving
So
forward.
there's no point in scheduling anything like that until after May.
Depends how you feel about it, right? If you think it's going to pass with a high likelihood, move ahead.
It's a flip of a.
Well, it should pass, but you can't really count on things.
So we could have a meeting in front of May 2nd, I guess is the date we're looking at.
Okay, so you and Bud are the little finance committee, so when do you figure out who's gonna call the meeting? Are you the one more out of town than Bud, not to mention, I don't wanna say you're a stay-at-home person. But would it be easier for you to,
Availability
start
of
with
us,
the
Gary needs to be involved, and really anybody in the county or in the council or.
well, why don't you try to lead the way with dates you're available?
Sure.
I absolutely positively encourage council members to come and participate. It is freaking complicated.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm fully invested in this. I'm very interested.
Yeah, because there's gonna be several people in this council who are gonna be here when we're gone. And they'll have to deal.
So that would mean Leslie and Ken in particular should make it your business to come to this meeting. Because you two have 2 more years to go than everybody else here.
And Tamsa,
Sherry goes would be there.
Okay.
Well, it's important. I wouldn't want to hide anything. I'm trying to understand the revenue streams and the probabilities of revenue streams. And then you want to go pass a test or do a RETA. I didn't know a RETA could be just a blush, but there's a lot of questions. I know how the expense goes out.
Okay, so figure out a date and get everybody together.
Okay.
Okay. We will go to the law director. Do you have anything else for street?
no man.
Nothing?
I'd call Jorge back in.
That was almost an hour.
Okay, Alan, you're up.
Okay. Well, I mentioned your tax levies don't have to come up for renewal till 2027. So that dovetails into this whole discussion. I have 6 cases in court. One was a finding of guilty of persistent disorderly conduct. There's a status call sent that has to do with the fine and sentencing. Number 2 is an expungement hearing of an old conviction of a citizen for persistent disorderly conduct. I don't object to that, so I notified the court. It's not a repeat offender. It's a person with a good record. And the next 2 cases are the zoning case for putting up a temporary structure without a permit. The reason there are 2 cases, there are 2 owners of the property, so each one's been charged. And they're both scheduled for trial next week. The first one on Monday, the 19th, and the next one on, the 17th. And the next one on the 19th. Yeah, 3/19 at 1 o'clock. That's the other owner. And if you've got a problem with that, I can get it postponed. You know, I can reset.
No,
Just let me know.
I just didn't know, it's on my calendar now.
Okay, next I have, a sentencing on April 1st for persistent disorderly conduct. And then last but not least, there's a competency hearing on March 24th. And with the charge in the case with the defendant's charged with abuse of the 911 system. And if he's incompetent to stand trial, according to the experts, there won't be a trial then. That's all I've got to report on.
I have a question. On competency,
Yes,
this would center around someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. Is there any of that fall in your competency arenas?
not in this case. In this case, it's a person with a problem.
I'm familiar with that problem.
Okay,
Yeah, this was a general question on competency.
it could, yeah, because.
It better not, they'll have half the village arrested.
I'm sorry.
They'll have half the village arrested for.
Here's how that works in a nutshell. If the defendant's lawyers raise that the defendant's not competent mentally, and that means not capable of understanding what's going on, what the charge is, what the penalty is, of assisting in his or her offense, that's incompetent to stand trial. And what the court can do is order them to be treated for so long as the penalty would be for the offense. And if they're treated and they become competent, there's a trial. If they run the term of the offense, the maximum they could get, then they're done. So that hearing is the 24th on this particular person's.
Yeah, and there's not going to be a trial.
No, I don't think so. That's all I've got.
Okay, finance, Gary?
Okay. This past Saturday, I distributed the bank reconciliation, showing everything is in balance. Any questions, comments from council? I have a motion approving all signing the bank reconciliation.
Second.
Thank you. This past Saturday, I did distribute the end of February appropriations report for council to review. Any questions, comments on appropriations through February? Council, I have a motion to approve sign off.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The village has been approved to receive $1,691 for the 2025 NOPEC grant. And along with the remaining $447 from our prior grant through NOPEC, we have $2,138 available for electrical related expenditures. All I need is a project and approval then from NOPEC.
Can we use the NOVAC money to go towards whatever might need to be done at the lake
Reese's
for
Pond,
the Reese's Pond project?
is $2,000 anticipated electrical.
Yeah,
Yeah, just give me the detail of what the work would be. And if there's an estimate, that would be great. And then I can submit it to NOPEC.
Is that, I mean, it would have to be, we'd have to have a meter put in.
right, I don't know too much about that, but some pre-work was done before me. Was there a meter there at one point that was taken
Yes, there
out?
was.
So we have a history, what it would cost.
We just took it down because there was nothing getting plugged into it and they were charging us
Yeah,
a month.
$95 a month.
Right.
The box and things is still there, right?
It probably would need to be replaced,
yeah,
but
that's what we
It
did.
was still there last time. I remember,
it's
but
still
you're
there,
right,
but
yeah.
it's pretty beat up. But, I mean, they would, I would have to think that they would put a new one on there, but, or what about even like the monthly cost of, like the electric bill for that? Would that
You
be
put it
something?
back, you're gonna get charged again.
Say that again, well, I understand that, but I'm
When you
saying,
install.
I understand that.
No, but using the grant for that, that's what you're getting.
No, I'm saying for like just the monthly charges.
I don't know that they would approve that. I will ask. I have my doubts.
because it's only for the capital cost
Right,
of a project.
right. So if you have to put in a new meter or a pole or whatever else might be
And
covered,
poles there,
once I know the
the meter would
details.
have to go up.
Is that still a current cost, 95 a month?
I believe so.
So you're
Yeah.
talking $1,200 a year, ballpark.
Right. So yeah, just get me details on that for Reese's Pond and I can run it through and see what they say.
Maybe we could charge people to go to the pond, so we could.
That's right. That was horrible.
Stocking rights, there we go.
Julie Ridge.
As stated at the March meeting, tonight I'm asking council to approve additional appropriations that currently include $8,000 for parks as requested by Ken for Reese's Pond rework and $2,000 to the electricity account to cover upcoming increases in 2025. The other departments did not request any adjustments to the expenditures. So unless there are any questions or comments from council, okay. I will ask Alan to do the first reading of ordinance 907-25 for permanent appropriations.
Excuse me. First reading by title only of ordinance number 907-25, an ordinance to set permanent appropriations for the current expenses of the village of Chippewa Lake, state of Ohio, during the year ending December 31st, 2025, and declared to be an emergency for the public peace, health, safety, and welfare. Is there a motion to suspend, waive the second and third reading?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion to pass the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. And that needs sign off by Tamitha, please. The auditor of state has provided all new entities with new computers and printers. We now have an HP Elite Desk 805 G6 computer available to either sell or donate, as well as an HP P24H 23.8-inch monitor, On eBay, the CPUs are running between $230 and $275, and the monitors are running between $120 and $125. We also have the option to just trash the computer and monitor at a cost of $5 each. How does council wish to proceed with that?
Somebody can put it on Marketplace and see if, can we sell something?
Yes, yeah, well, it'd have to be like an auction, because it's public property.
Is there a value threshold that public auction would take place?
If it's worth less than $1,000, whoever's in charge of it can sell it without bidding.
Oh, we don't have to have bidding on it?
If it's under $1,000.
Oh, okay.
Value.
This would be for both of those.
I have to Marketplace, but if somebody wanted to throw it on Marketplace, I hear that's a good.
Do you
way.
do that, Gary? Do you do Marketplace?
I've never done it. I can try it.
Let me know if you need help with it.
Okay. Thank you.
I've
Okay,
done it, I just don't want to take on any more responsibility. I have very good intentions, but.
Maybe hold this.
okay, I'll put those two items on Marketplace. I do not recommend selling or donating the printer that I have, as it no longer does double-sided printing capabilities. And all feed mechanisms squeal and screech, whatever the term is, the printer sounds like it's gonna fail soon.
So then we'll just put that on Marketplace with the computer as just an add-on as part of it. Buy the computer, we'll throw you the printer for free.
Well, I sort of hate to do that, because that thing can poop out at any time.
You need to dispose of the printer.
If I may have a motion authorizing the fiscal officer to dispose of the current village printer at a cost of $5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
So what's, the $5, they charge you $5 to
Electric.
dump it in the garbage
The recycle.
dumpster?
Yeah, through the Medina recycling.
Yeah,
And you have to send it to a recycle company, you can't just put it in it.
Put it in the
Garbage
trash.
can.
I don't believe so.
Put the trash bag, throw it in.
I think that's.
Everyone else in the village does, just take it down to the beach.
just take it down.
Put it in the trash can.
The electrical disposal is only open like 2 or 3 days a week, so before you go over, make sure that's the day. Because I've been there not long yet.
Never heard
Wednesday's
of
the
donating,
day.
you're paying to
Wednesday?
donate.
Wednesdays and
If you take it to the
Saturdays.
recycle facility, you have to, but I don't think there's anything that stops you from throwing it in your trash can.
Really? Is that what council wants me to do?
I want
Take it to the, take it
Just get
to
rid of it somehow.
Well, my vote is
You have permission to get
dump it
rid
in
of it.
the garbage can, save the bill of $15 or whatever it is.
Well, then give me a motion authorizing the fiscal officer to dispose of the current village printer at a cost of $5.
So moved.
$5.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Nay,
Is there a nay there? I can write.
there is,
There's one nay?
that's me.
Okay. All right. Got
Sounds like he wants to just take it.
it.
just bring it to the next meeting, Ken will put it in his trash.
Oh, yeah, there's a rage room at the common ground. I think you could take it there. We could all probably take a couple of swings.
All right, all payments are now listed on the website and for 2024. And there are options on that location on the website. It's in the minutes section. I believe it's in the lower right-hand corner, where you bring up the village checkbook. You can ask questions of me on any expenditure for 2024, going back 5 years. So it's now on the website. Okay, as of the end of February, the balance in the primary checking account, $397,509.14. Money market, $204,567.13. Star Ohio, $112,423.52 total. $714,499.79. Any questions, comments? Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, do we have any old business? Well, I don't know if we have time to go through this big audience, but we'll try. Debbie, do you have anything?
I just have a question. We have a sign that was donated from the Lions Club for welcome to Chippewa Lake, home of the competitive, Ohio's only competitive. We had some extras made, and I was wondering if we could put one on the beach fence on the corner, like where the other one is, that they won the championship in 2004. I don't know if anybody would have any objections
I'd
to
like to make a
that.
motion that we do that.
Yeah.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We do that.
Thank you.
We interrupted.
Lisa, did you have anything? Okay, do we have any new business?
Alan does. Got a couple of things here. One was, there was something circulated by Emergency Management, a questionnaire. Noah Eddy from EMA was in charge. We passed phone calls back and forth. It was not clear to me if it was supposed to come from council in general and or individuals, so it was not very clear. And some of it was related to sirens and emergency warning activities, so nothing, I don't think, a line blank from there to deal with. Second item was Deputy Harhay is retiring in May of next year. And he's, the first time I heard it today, he could still continue to work for the village, maybe as part-time, or I don't know how that works. He was alluding to the way Gloria Glenn's pays their deputies separately, not through the sheriff's department like we do.
Right.
I'm not so much in agreement with that, because there's significant liability for that job position and administrative costs, use of the cruiser, a lot of other things that go into that. So first I've heard, the May 26th is a firm date. So I would approach either Captain Cornwell, who he reports to, or Bryce above him, to see what their thoughts are on this.
You know Alan's the law director for over there, right?
I am.
He could probably answer a lot of questions.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure
a
you're
conversation with you on how it works financially.
Well, basically, they pay them as independent contractors. And all liability lies with the sheriff. And also, the sheriff is their employer, not the village. The village just pays their hourly rate.
Do they, okay, so I'm trying to understand that. Do they pay, would Gary pay the sheriff's department? And the sheriff's department pays the deputy?
I think, I'd have to check. I think they issue a check to the deputies.
That's what Deputy Harney said.
Right.
They issue checks from the village.
I gotta understand that. And I'd have to understand the risk associated with that job position, because that's
Right.
he got shot. Would that responsibilities fall on us? So there's a whole bunch of other
And
questions.
the car would be,
I don't know any of that.
Well-
I have to know better. And maybe, Alan, by the time we get to that point, you have a better detail of what.
Well, are you considering doing that? I mean, I
My
would
preference is
recommend it.
not to do it that way.
Right.
My preference is to have a contract as we have with the other deputies.
That's
through the
my
sheriff's
preference too. That's what I
That's
recommend.
The rest of it, I don't like. So take a lot of explaining to do something different. But that was the first I heard of it.
Right, and I live with it. I mean, I think we're protected as a village up there, down there, but it's not the way you're supposed to do it, actually.
Second one, there was, from NOPEC, what's called the Regional Climate Actions Priority. There was grants that went out for a variety of actions on regional climate issues, clean electricity, building efficiency, green steel production, vehicle miles, light duty vehicle, electrician. Most of these don't fit in anything. I'll explore it. I just got it today, so I'll explore it through Presto to see if there's anything that we would qualify for. But I didn't see it, at least in my first read. Next, there was, this came to me from Gary, but it was for streetlights, which is a separate contract than a no other electrical, but we do our streetlights, and maybe Barb knows this, but our streetlights are with First Energy Ohio Edison. Okay. This was a letter from Dynegy, who is an aggregator for the county. And it's an opt-out letter for, to opt out of Dynegy, whatever the Medina County project was. And then back a while, NOPEC had showed Gary their preferred municipal marketing letter, but there was no action from NOPEC on that. So what my preference was from action on our side was opt out of this one from the Medina County aggregator. And then research better what the costs are from First Edison, NOPEC, and this guy.
How did we get into that Medina County?
That's why I couldn't understand,
I
but it
mean,
sounds
we
like.
sat and interviewed all the people and picked NOPEC, so how did this group get
Well,
involved?
this
Or
is
did
the
they
street
involve
lights, and
themselves?
this, and the, if I understand, I don't know all the details, that's why I'm saying.
And
no.
NOPEC doesn't do streetlights.
No, they have a preferred municipal program.
Okay, at the time they didn't, when we
Well,
first signed
this
it.
is all I know.
Okay,
They may have presented it to us a year ago, but we took no action like that. So we still remain under contract with
Ohio Edison.
First Energy Ohio Edison. Yeah, so what I want to do is, it's due the 17th, so there's a short timeline on it. I was gonna opt out of that. If there's a winner, then we can opt back in, but before getting into something I don't want to know. This is a for-profit aggregator where NOPEC is a nonprofit aggregator, so when NOPEC gives you a price, that's the price you pay. Now there's, as we know, there's gonna be add-on costs. They've already warned us in July. So, let's say, Dynegy was off showing a 0.609 as their rate, but they don't include that, upcharge issue, where NOPEC was charging 0.649. So NOPEC's published price is higher than what Dynegy was, but you weren't getting all of the real costs that was going to happen. So my preference is to deny this, stay with the Ohio Edison, maybe finance or somebody. we
Do you
can
have any
sort-
idea how we got in that?
No, that's why I can't understand.
It's one of them things where if you didn't mail a letter back, you're automatically part of them and none of us saw the letter.
That's what we're trying to do.
Then they'll try to charge you to try to get out of it.
Well, that's the other side. So I'm trying to not get us into something we don't know anything about.
Right.
That would be our preference. So, I will try and, I don't have the envelope that this came with. I have it back on my desk, so I'll take care of this.
Yeah, did you mention that thing from Mercy Management, that letter?
Yeah,
What are you doing with that? Because,
well, I passed, Noah Eddy is the contact that he.
right,
I called him Thursday, he called me Friday, I didn't get the message. I called him again today, he didn't get back to me, so we're in phone tag right now.
did you ask Jim Brandenburg if he ever filled that thing out in 2018?
I don't know that I asked.
Because sometimes he gets some of the, because there's just a little bit in there about the floodplain. And he is our floodplain administrator. Remember I sent you that email? Did you send it to Jim?
I did not send it to you, I don't, I didn't.
Well, I know that recently there's been different things coming and a lot of them Jim has filled out in that position. So maybe somebody ought to give him a look just to make sure he didn't fill that out in 2018.
Well, I'm trying to communicate, I'm gonna answer those kind of questions, because it was really not very clear.
I know, but I thought it just run by Jim, he could say, oh, I filled that out. And if we don't,
Tomorrow,
then
if you could send that on to Brandenburg, I will not be here. Okay. Hopefully that. So that, so the Dynegy just sitting there, well, I think that's all. And somebody gave me, this was from the mayor or something, Ohio Edison Cleveland Blue Ridge Auditor report, staff report. Does anybody know about this?
We might need that old computer to use to.
Gary put that in my packet and said, you should have it. I said, maybe Barb should have it. Tamsa got her own copy, as council president.
I have no way to view
She
it,
has
but I
no
have
way
a
to put
copy.
it in. That sounds very exciting to me.
I
There's
don't
no clue
know.
what it's about, so,
But,
maybe you could give that to
Just
Gary and
send it
it
back
could go
and tell
somewhere
them
with the
it's
printer out.
Let's go back to Gary then.
Yeah, let him
Sure.
take that with the printer goes.
Before you dispose of that computer, see if you want.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Anybody else have any new business? Yes, Jim.
We run around and found some more trees that we can
Oh, good, so we can spend more than $2,600?
Yes.
Oh, how
A lot more. Right here at the end of the driveway, there's a tree that's started a fire hydrant. It's dead. It's even, you can see the bark as you can peel off the bottom. And then directly across the street there, in Hummister's, front yard, which is actually in the, it's in the easement area. That one is,
That's all the further you guys rode down the driveway?
no, there's one at the park that AJ cut years ago, the top was broken off, and he just cut it, and it's a tree standing there with nothing on it, other than, I think it might have one branch coming off the side, but it needs to come out, and then up on Bungalow Bay, where that other one that he's taking out, just down the street from that, on the corner of, kind of on the corner where the tennis court is, it's a gnarly looking tree, it's covered in all kinds of English pine or something or other. It looks bad. So I talked to him today and he said his day price for cutting is like $4,000. So he would probably be able to get most of those trees done. Probably.
So he'd come and cut all the trees the same day for 4,000, is that what you're saying?
If you can. The one he's got to work on is really big. He said, that's gonna take most of the day. I said, well, one down the street's not. So you could probably get both of those by having a crane in it, really easily.
So what if he doesn't get them all done in one day, how much are
I'm not to come back with you, but he's coming down tomorrow and I'm gonna ask him to give separate prices. He'll know what he can do.
Will you make sure that oak tree goes first?
Yeah, that's a for certain, but he'll have an idea of like, this one costs this much, we can do this. Maybe he just does the oak tree and then he comes back and does all the other ones on a whole day plan. So,
It's really unfortunate that we're losing that large tree on the circle. It's,
We've lost a couple of them up there. Okay, Gary, you hear all that with the money?
Sure.
And
we have money in our budget. We're not tearing houses down, we're taking trees down.
yeah.
okay,
We're gonna build.
Rebuild the lumber we cut up. Another Amish village.
okay, is there any other new business? Okay, then we need one more
I'll
motion.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
They get an award for sticking it out.